Hello and welcome to Unbuilt Giants, a series that looks at the development and demise of some of history's most notable and sometimes bizarre skyscraper projects. The Ultima Tower was a visionary yet unrealized proposal by architect Eugene Tsui, conceived in 1991 as a radical solution to San Francisco's housing shortage and urban sprawl. Designed to rise 2 miles high and span a mile at its base, the tower would have functioned as a self-contained vertical city capable of housing 1 million people. Inspired by the aerodynamic efficiency of African termite mounds, the structure incorporated natural ecosystems on each of its 120 levels, featuring lakes, rivers, and open skies, alongside sustainable technologies such as photovoltaic solar panels, wind turbines, and waterfall-based cooling systems. Ambitious in both scale and purpose, the Ultima Tower aimed to redefine urban living by merging ecological principles with cutting-edge engineering, offering a blueprint for a city that could grow vertically while preserving the natural landscape below. In the late 1980s, architect Eugene Tsui began to focus intently on how to confront the growing urban challenges that were increasingly pressing upon San Francisco. At the time, the city was experiencing mounting population pressures, rising housing demand, and the gradual erosion of its natural surroundings due to continued development and urban sprawl. As part of a contracted study of the San Francisco Bay Area, Tsui and his team spent significant time observing the city's existing urban fabric, its environmental conditions, and the relationship between its built spaces and its natural landscapes. They were struck by the scarcity of large, uninterrupted green areas and the limited number of park-like spaces within the city, particularly in the dense core where public access to nature was often difficult. This deficiency stood out in sharp contrast to the region's dramatic natural beauty and rich ecological heritage, which was slowly being compromised by the steady spread of housing and commercial infrastructure. Tsui recognized that conventional patterns of urban expansion were unsustainable, both environmentally and socially. The continual outward growth of the city threatened to consume remaining open land, displace wildlife habitats, and leave future generations with few natural refuges. His team became increasingly concerned that if development continued along traditional horizontal lines, San Francisco would sacrifice the very qualities that made it unique. In response to this problem, Tsui envisioned a radical and forward-thinking solution: to rethink the very shape and purpose of urban living. He proposed abandoning the entrenched model of sprawling, low-rise development and instead pursuing an extreme form of vertical construction that could concentrate an entire city's functions into a single, monumental structure. In his concept, by rising upwards rather than spreading outwards, a city could reclaim the surrounding land for nature, creating a self-contained vertical community that would allow open spaces, hills, wetlands, and parklands to remain largely untouched. This idea was more than an architectural gesture. It was a philosophical stance on how humanity could coexist with the natural world while addressing the pressing needs of urban growth. By building a living environment that combined residential, commercial, and ecological elements in a singular, towering form, Tsui believed it would be possible to protect the surrounding landscape, reduce environmental impact, and redefine the way modern cities functioned. His vision of a self-sustaining, vertically integrated urban ecosystem would not only preserve nature, but also give its inhabitants direct access to natural features high above the ground, effectively bringing the environment into the city itself. In 1991, Tsui unveiled an audacious and highly ambitious vision for the city of San Francisco, the Ultima Tower, a vertical city on a scale never before attempted in human history. This extraordinary structure was designed to accommodate an estimated population of 1 million people, effectively serving as an entire city contained within a single building. Tsui drew his inspiration from the natural world, specifically the remarkable shape and functionality of African termite mounds. These organic structures, which can rise up to 30 feet in height, demonstrate an innate efficiency in ventilation, cooling, and load-bearing, qualities that Tsui sought to translate into a megastructure capable of redefining urban living. He conceived the Ultima Tower as a direct response to the problems of urban sprawl, overpopulation, and the increasingly scarce green spaces of San Francisco. Its distinctive trumpet bell form was not chosen for appearance alone, but to maximize stability, maintain compressive strength across its vast height, and allow for exceptional aerodynamic efficiency in the face of high-altitude winds. The proposed Ultima Tower would have been nothing short of unprecedented in scale. Rising to an extraordinary 10,560 feet, an astonishing 2 miles into the sky, it would have dwarfed every other man-made structure on the planet. Its base measured approximately 6,000 feet in diameter, so wide that it would have completely encompassed San Francisco's financial district, absorbing its footprint into a single, unified complex. In terms of sheer volume, the tower was intended to enclose an immense 53 billion cubic feet of space, with a total usable floor area of around 1.5 billion square feet. This is the equivalent of approximately 39,000 acres of enclosed property, effectively functioning as a self-contained city. The building was to contain 500 stories, arranged across 120 primary levels, each level conceived as an entire neighborhood and ecosystem unto itself. Within these levels, Tsui imagined lakes, streams, rivers, ravines, and rolling hills, carefully landscaped to create an artificial yet naturalistic environment where urban life could exist in close harmony with nature. Half of all residential plots would be dedicated to natural vegetation, creating the impression that the structure was an upward extension of the earth itself, stacked layer upon layer into the clouds. The materials and engineering of the Ultima Tower were planned with ecological sustainability in mind. Construction would rely heavily on recycled building materials, reflecting Tsui's commitment to reducing the environmental impact of such a monumental project. Its colossal exterior surface, covering some 150 million square feet, would be fully clad in photovoltaic solar cells to harness the sun's energy. Supplementing this would be wind turbines, strategically positioned to take advantage of the strong winds encountered at higher elevations. In addition to solar and wind energy, Tsui proposed an innovative system to generate electricity by exploiting the air pressure differentials between the tower's base and its 2-mile-high summit, creating a sustainable power loop unique to a building of this scale. Water management and climate control were also central to the design. A surrounding artificial lake, combined with 4 immense waterfalls cascading through the lower levels, would function as a natural cooling mechanism, imitating the passive ventilation systems of termite mounds. Cool air from the lower sections would rise naturally through the building, while aerodynamic windows would allow for controlled circulation, reducing or eliminating the need for traditional air conditioning systems. The logistics of moving residents and visitors throughout such a structure required radical innovation. The tower's vertical transportation system was to feature a network of 12-story high-speed elevators working in tandem with vertically stacked trains, capable of stopping at 30 floors simultaneously. This system would allow for efficient access to different neighborhood levels while reducing congestion. Safety and structural integrity were also critical to the concept, particularly given San Francisco's vulnerability to earthquakes. Tsui devised a double helix cable system that would completely envelop the tower, acting like a flexible net. This unique design would distribute and absorb seismic stress across the entire structure, rather than allowing it to concentrate in a single vulnerable area, dramatically reducing the risk of catastrophic failure. Despite the extraordinary ingenuity behind the concept, the Ultima Tower ultimately faced a series of obstacles that proved insurmountable. The most immediate and pressing challenge was financial. The project carried an estimated cost of $150 billion, a figure so vast that it was far beyond the scope of any realistic public or private budget. Even with Tsui's argument that the tower would save money in the long term by reducing the costs associated with land acquisition and urban sprawl, the scale of the initial investment alone made it virtually impossible to secure the required funding. Beyond the financial hurdles, the social and cultural barriers were equally formidable. Convincing the residents of San Francisco to support a single, monumental structure that would fundamentally alter the city's skyline and urban identity was an unlikely prospect. San Francisco's planning and regulatory boards presented another layer of resistance. Known for their conservative tastes and adherence to historical preservation, these boards were reluctant to embrace anything that diverged so sharply from the city's established architectural character. Tsui's visionary, uncompromising approach only widened the divide. He refused to dilute his ideas into more palatable, box-like structures, and this unwillingness to compromise left his work vulnerable to rejection. Former colleagues observed that the city's design review boards were simply not equipped, either aesthetically or philosophically, to evaluate such an ambitious and unconventional proposal. Tsui himself expressed deep frustration, criticizing what he described as San Francisco's provincial and backward attitude toward architecture, a mindset he felt clung stubbornly to outdated notions of what the city should look like. By 2007, when former staff and architectural commentators looked back on the project, the Ultima Tower remained firmly in the realm of unbuilt visions. It had become less a practical blueprint for urban living and more a symbol of unfulfilled potential, a monument to what might have been. Its vision of a self-contained, mile-wide vertical city designed to harmonize with the natural world while simultaneously resolving the acute housing pressures of a growing metropolis still had no true counterpart in the real world. In the decades that followed, the Ultima Tower took on a kind of mythic status in architectural circles. It became an emblem of both extraordinary ambition and the persistent difficulties of implementing radical innovation in cities bound by tradition, bureaucracy, and economic caution. To this day, it stands in memory as one of the most daring megastructures ever conceived, yet never realized, a lasting testament to Eugene Tsui's boundless imagination and San Francisco's enduring resistance to transformative change. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more episodes coming soon. See you next time.